Yo, like this video for a girlfriend. No joke whatsoever, if you press the like button, your days of being down bad in Spain without the S will be over. Otherwise, when you're crying in the sheets with your meat in your hand, you will regret it. Now, first off, I just want to say this video is no hate to that vegan teacher whatsoever. I know she needs absolutely no introduction and that most of y'all probably do not like her. But still, this video is not meant to hate on her in any way, just to, you know, dissect the absolutely terrible response that she gave to being banned and explain why the points were terrible. I personally am a believer in attacking people's arguments, not them personally. So yeah, I don't hate that vegan teacher. Honestly, it really never is that serious. So without further ado, let's get to the video.
Hello everyone. Many of you woke up this morning and found out that my account was banned on TikTok. And I know many of you are jumping for joy and thinking that this is a great victory.
It is.
Somehow, it makes you smile to know that an animal rights activist is being silenced on one of the platforms.
No, it makes a lot of people smile to know that you're being silenced, as in you specifically.
Why is that? Why does that bring you joy? I know why.
Do you really though?
Because you're feeling guilty. You know you shouldn't be eating animals. You know you shouldn't be paying to exploit them. And you cannot look in the mirror and see that in you.
You know those people who like know nothing about psychology but have read like a few articles online and then think that they're some master therapist and can decode everybody's actions, so they try to like read into people's little actions and be like, oh, you're doing this because, oh, the only reason you act like this is because you're insecure because your mom left you as a child and didn't give you enough attention. Like, nigga, we both know that you read that in some BuzzFeed article or wherever the heck, whatever the heck type of magazine you spend your time reading. I promise you, not a single soul feels guilty for eating animals, except for maybe the bestiality niggas, but even them. And the fact that you think that this is really the reason why people wanted to see you gone is absolutely astounding. The lack of self-awareness is just mind-boggling to see, honestly.
You're suffering from cognitive dissonance. You think you're a good person, but on the other hand, you pay people to rape, torture, and murder these innocent animals who never did one single thing wrong to you. So when an animal rights activist like me, a middle-aged, gray-haired woman who's 56 and who is a school teacher and a nurse, gets shot down, this somehow brings you great joy.
No, I think the only person suffering from cognitive dissonance is you, because you think you're a good person. However, when you see the mob on the internet of millions of people attacking you, calling you out for your disgusting actions, you can't bear to think that, hey, maybe I'm in the wrong. So you come up with this weird-ass narrative that we who eat meat every day and have been doing so from the day of our flipping birth somehow feel guilty for doing so. And that's the reason why we want to see you gone.
As if you're playing a video game. But this is real life. It's not a video game. There are actual victims. There are actual animals who are suffering right now in ways that you know nothing about. So why is it that you don't know what's going on?
Well, since you asked ever so nicely, why don't I educate you a bit? You see, the concept of life is a very subjective one. We all have different beliefs on what makes life valuable. This is the whole reason that things like the topic of abortion are so controversial, because everybody has a different opinion on what makes a life worth moral consideration or not. You see, you, Karen, just so happen to believe that any life that has sentience whatsoever has value, whether that be a human, a pig, a flipping fly, or the That's your subjective understanding of what makes a life morally considerable. To us, however, we think quite differently. The way we see it, a life is not morally considerable unless it's a human life. If you're religious, then this is because God said, hey, y'all can kill any animals you want, just don't kill each other and you're fine. And if you're not religious, then you most likely base this on the fact that human beings have intelligence while animals don't, among a number of other characteristics such as emotions and stuff that actually make them worth considering. And also, you could bring rights into this to say every human has the right to life, but technically she is an animal rights activist, so that wouldn't really make sense considering her whole cause is trying to get animals the right to life. But you know, just thought I'd throw that in there. But my point is, we both have different definitions of the same word, life. If we actually viewed animals on the same level of consideration as human beings and we were still murdering them and killing them and eating them, then yes, we would be bad people. We would be murderers, and that's why Karen thinks that we are murderers, because she thinks thinks that we view animals as humans like she does. For whatever reason, she seems to think that. However, if I view an animal as something that's less than me and just exists solely for no reason and I can just eat it when I feel like it doesn't make me a bad person to kill it because I don't value it. Why would I preserve something I don't value? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I don't know if you're racist or whatever, but if you were to ever come up with some comparison like, oh, so what if I say I don't value black people? Does that mean I'm allowed to kill them? Well, the difference with that comparison is that we can objectively prove that black people are worth moral consideration, because if you're going to consider a white person of moral consideration, biologically speaking, there's almost no difference on a fundamental level, so you'd have to consider a black person the same. However, with an animal, you would have to actually prove to us that they are on the same level as us in terms of consideration. And I don't think you have a single video on your account that's actually trying to lead people to believe animals are worth consideration of life. Or better yet, you do make videos telling people that animals are worth moral consideration. However, you don't actually explain why. You don't give any good arguments. All I've heard from you so far is sentience, but people have been refuting that. If that was enough, everybody would be vegan. You've never actually gone out of your way to debate somebody on a public platform to not only see your perspective, but to see it in action against a non-vegan perspective and see how it holds up, whether it can debunk it or not. If people see you absolutely decimate a non-vegan intellectually and break every single argument, they will actually say, hey, this makes sense. And some of them will even come over to your side if they're not intellectually dishonest with themselves. You're just telling them be vegan, but you're not actually explaining to them why eating animals is murder. Like in the abortion argument, for example, at least the pro-life people try to explain why they believe life starts at conception. So even if the pro-choice person doesn't agree with them, they can at least understand where they're coming from. Nobody understands where you're coming from. Nobody understands why you actually believe that the slaughter of animals is equivalent to the Holocaust that slaughtered the Jews. Nobody knows why you think animals are the same as humans. You have not proven or even tried to explain this to us.
The biggest reason is that our school system is completely failing us. That's one of the reasons that I'm glad to be out of it.
Didn't you just say you was a school teacher, bro?
In our school systems, we don't encourage people to be free thinkers.
Well, the first thing you said that I agree with. Congratulations.
We don't encourage them to do research on things that are important. One of the things I really didn't like about being a teacher is that I couldn't just trust the kids to go on the internet and look up things. I wanted to be able to let them go to see Dominion movement and the way that these animals are treated. But I couldn't do that because I would get in trouble if they accidentally went onto a disturbing site, i.e. the truth.
Or Pornhub.
What's wrong with our society that we're so scared to tell kids the truth about what's going on? Well, the parents are also scared. In our society right now, parents are mere children. They've never actually grown up. They're just an older version of their kids. I learned this now because after being on TikTok and watching the amount of duets that are going on there and realizing it's horrifying how uneducated the vast majority of the population is. So of course it's normal that they would want to take somebody down who confronts all these different groups of people. See, I've never limited myself with who I talk to about how the animals are treated. I will talk to a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a teenager. I will talk to a new mom, a dad. I will talk to anybody. Teachers, principals, doctors, therapists.
You see, there's a difference between talking to somebody and imposing stuff on them. I've never really been one to watch the vegan teacher drama videos. I really did not care about this whole situation. So I don't know every single thing that she's done, but generally speaking, the problem people have with her is that she attacks people who don't follow her ideology. She doesn't have discussions to share her beliefs. It's always, if you don't follow my ideology, you are a terrible human being. I don't know if the logical conclusion you form from that is that they're gonna be like, oh well, if I don't follow her ideology, I'm a terrible person. So that means in order to be a good person, I'm going to follow her ideology. Because chances are that's not going to happen with most people. They're always going to pick the option that's easier. And it's always going to be easier to instinctively just disrespect somebody who is calling you a terrible human being instead of actually listening to them and taking their position seriously. Which is why nobody takes you seriously.
If you ever think you're not powerful, think of it this way. If a group of teenage boys can gather together behind the scenes and start attacking somebody like me, an animal rights activist, or any other, because it won't be long before they come after all the other animal rights activists.
They've already started.
Then think of what that same group of kids could do if they actually fought for good in the world.
I like how she's just downplaying the millions of people who are currently dogpiling her right now. I really don't think all of these people are just a group of teenage boys. No, even the queer Kiwi, who is the biggest, most stereotypical feminist you could think of, to the point where she literally has rainbow hair and is so far left that she basically comes off the spectrum, complains about capitalism 24/7 and how straight people are cringe, and also makes men equals bad videos, is against you. I guarantee you it's not just a group of teenage boys.
You see, the problem is that they're just so mixed up. They don't actually know who's good and who's evil. I mean, for some reason they have it in their head that somebody who's defending the most innocent animals among us is a bad person.
I guarantee you, Karen, not a single person has an issue with the fact that you are defending animals. This is about you as an individual, because the other vegans on the internet do not get anywhere near as much backlash as you do. It's like the cognitive dissonance is so strong that you're failing to see such a simple concept as, hey, if I attack a big YouTuber, then their fan base is going to be mad at me. Like, that's such a simple concept to understand. And most of the times, if a fan base is getting mad at you for something dumb, you could blame it on them being sheep. But they're actually justified in their anger this time because you genuinely have stooped to some low levels to promote your stuff and just came after people for no reason.
How messed up is that? Where did they get that idea? I don't know. But I can tell you that schools are not helping us to fix it. So where do we go from here? Well, first of all, animal rights activists don't stop being animal rights activists. I'm never going to quit. You can close down one account, you can close down another one, I will keep popping up. Or if you keep closing them down and eventually you've used up all of the means, I will still be in front of my house with a sign, or in a shopping center protesting, or filming other activists.
Well, I never made a video on you before, but hey, more free content for me, you know what I'm saying?
I'll go back to being a reporter and talking about them, but I'll never stop. The animals are too important. They're alone. They have no voice.
Did the animals tell you that?
The chickens, the cows, the pigs, the lambs, the turkeys, they all have a right to their body integrity. They all have a right to live. And many of you have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. The billions of animals that are so badly mistreated, systemically, not just the occasional one, but crammed into places that are as horrible as the Nazi death camps. In fact, worse. The animals have it worse. The Holocaust never ended for them. Yes, they have it worse. And you don't realize it. And I know you don't realize it because I saw your duets before my account was taken down. I saw this one girl yelling at the camera and saying, "You don't understand. How can you say that these animals are treated the way that the Jewish prisoners were? They're not raped." Yes, they are. They're not forced into slavery. Yes, they are. They're not murdered. Yes, they are. They're not put into gas chambers. Yes, they are.
You see, everybody gets triggered when you bring up Holocaust comparisons, but when you really think about it though, from her perspective, animals are the exact same as people. So if we're kept in these farms and raised from the ground up just to be murdered and eaten and just absolutely treated in god-awful terrible condition, then yes, if those were regarded as the same as human beings, meaning if humans were the ones in those situations instead of animals, then yes, that would actually be the same if not worse than the Holocaust. However, like I said before, not all of us value animals with moral consideration, nor have you given us a reason to do so.
And for what? Why did we do that to the Jews? Why did the world let that happen? Because good people remain silent.
Last time I checked, when the Nazis were doing what they were doing to the Jews, everybody else was ganging up on them. Every other country got involved and tried to do something about it. That's why it was called World War. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the good people did speak up. So what the heck are you talking about? This is the type of thing that makes people not like you, because you say these things that are so uninformed about these sensitive topics as if you know what you're talking about, just to promote your cause.
So now what? Use all the power that you have going forward to educate yourself. Use your critical thinking skills. Go and actually watch the documentaries that all of us have watched. Go to watchdominion.com and don't be cowardly about it. Don't watch it in a group of people while you talk and while you try to close your eyes to what's going on. Don't mute the sound of the animals. Listen. Watch it in small bits by yourself or with a friend that you trust who is seriously interested in learning.
Now guys, I may or may not continue this absolute dissection of a reaction video just because I don't really think there's much more that she has to say. This is kind of just a response to her getting banned and, you know, playing victim, calling everybody out. But if this video does well, then I will make a part 2 video and I will also react to the Dominion thing. You know, I'll take her word for it. I'ma take her up on what she said and see what she has to offer, you know? So yeah, if this video gets 500 likes, I will watch Dominion. Anyways guys, as always, it's been your boy John and you are now leaving my mind.